first became aware of the art scene in Los Angeles was the late 80s, and back then Los Angeles still wasn't getting the kind of recognition that I think even then it may have deserved in terms of the quality of art that was coming out of it. I think it was, eclipsed by places like New York and other places in Europe. And
you can see great art here every time. But before the whole hippifying or coolness of downtown, it was just businesses. It was businesses and government buildings.
I mean, not just the art scene. LA has changed. There was this mass exodus from New York. A lot of people leaving New York and coming to Los Angeles. So it seemed like there was this mass exodus from New York to Los Angeles.
When I first came out and was going to school, it was a very different fine art sort of atmosphere. Initially there would be nowhere for me to show. There would be no gallery where I could show a girl fighting a tiger. It was unheard of. No one showed work like that. And in a very short amount of time, it's very much changed for the better.
When you're seeing the art scene and the scene in general change in Los Angeles, you're getting a lot of people coming here for the character that they were missing elsewhere. Because regardless of whether you like LA or not, and a lot of people live here and don't necessarily like it, but there's a lot of character here.
People come here to be actors or photographers, or they go to the animation schools or art schools. It's a place to be if you want to be an artist of any kind, from burlesque to modeling to painting to sculpting. There are amazing instructors and opportunities.
From the cultural diversity to just kind of the history and the stories behind everything. And just going into all these little neighborhoods that do kind of have that character and that grit that as artists we love. It's kind of what fuels us. We like texture. We like feeling things, that tactile nature that we have.
we haven't really been taken that seriously in terms of fine art. I think that's changing. I think that Los Angeles is actually being understood as a truly formidable city for fine art, and I think the community that's been created through what we do has had a role to play in that. I think that now that's changing. I think it's really fantastic that we're finally starting to come out from behind the shadow of Hollywood. But in terms of the fine art world, I think we weren't really getting the kind of credit that LA was due, and it's beautiful to see that we now are.
Art in LA is fantastic right now. You have so many good artists in so many different genres doing so many different things. And although you have a really established gallery scene and you have a really established art community, it doesn't feel stale and old and like there's no way to get in. And I think because of that, and because you have so many, New York is great, but it just feels very hard to break into. Like, you have to be established to show at a gallery in Chelsea. Why? Why don't you want to see something new, something a little unfinished and raw, that's not done by somebody who's already done 4 of their own shows? And LA, I think, is open to that, not just in the gallery scene, but you've got all these street artists and you've got all these pop-up things. You have art shows in Frogtown showing people I've never heard of, and some of them suck, but look, they're putting it out there. Sometimes you just gotta do that, and I think LA is really doing that right now. There's so many cool things coming up. There's so many different ideas, and I constantly go to art shows and feel inspired and go, oh my God, if I could only do that. Or, there's all these lowbrow art shows in LA too that you go to and you're like, well, that piece was good and that piece was good, and the rest of these people obviously were just drinking. So it's so fun. It's so fun to see. And I'm very excited to be here. I feel like there's just so much inspiration. It can't help but blow up and do wonderful things here.
In Los Angeles specifically, the art world has changed hugely in the time I've been active in it.
The more that word gets around, the better it is. But I do like the nature of a well-kept secret in LA, because eventually everything kind of blows up. Well, I do think it's underground, and I'm glad about that, because some of the best things are underground, and I kind of like that it's like this little well-kept secret in a way. But I think that a lot of people do kind of know what's going on.